This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Hello, hello, hello. We're here thanks to TCL Mobile, 2K, and Bet with Joel. I'm Joe Healy. This, as always, is Shane Heel.
I didn't think you were coming home. I get people stop me in the street and say, when's she coming back? I think because they're sick of me. I didn't think I was
coming back either. I've missed you, though.
You loved it over there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
How much? I thought you were coming back with an American accent. You know how some people, they go for like 5 minutes and come back with a whole lot of twang? I thought that was you.
I'm pretty sure I still sound like an Aussie.
Yeah, just as well. Oh, you're South Australian. More like it. Even the way you said Aussie. South Australian.
Well, it's very nice to be in the studio. Nice to be back with you guys. Big show ahead as well. We
missed you, mate. We missed you. Massive show coming up.
All right, let's dive straight into it with our TCL starting five. Well, since I've been away, the Sydney Kings have found some form. They've won 8 games in a row. Their imports in particular have really stepped up. Have you, I guess, seen enough from them at this point for them to genuinely have a chance at the chip?
Oh, they've been a chance for months. Were you on that same train with Matt Logan, Derek Rucker, and I think you were early, weren't you?
I definitely questioned how they'd come together, for sure. But, I mean, it's great to see how they have been coming together. They really struggled with injuries to start the season.
I don't think people put enough emphasis. When you've got key players out, it makes it very, very difficult and challenges everybody else to play different roles and all the rest of it. They were able to get this win without Cooks as well. Huge win. The only concern I have is that now Homicide Williams is now saying they're legit and a chance to win the championship. So he always comes to the party late. He's going to mock them. That's the only thing that can hurt him.
He's just jinxing them.
That's what he does. I'm like, please, mate, don't say that. They're looking great. They're well coached. Probably got the best import combination, and their Aussies are playing well as well.
Yeah, so. Super exciting at the moment. Jenna O'Hay played her last game for the Flyers, bringing it into her career as a basketballer in the WNBL and internationally as well, of course. Now, I've got to admit, I love her now. I hated her in juniors. I did.
Why?
Because I was from South Australia. She's playing for Victoria, tearing it up. She was that good from an early age, and I'm super competitive, and so, but obviously never won.
Everyone hates the Vicks. Everyone hates the Vicks, but she's had an incredible career that spans so long. And yeah, what she's been able to do on the court, what she's been able to do for the Opals, what she did internationally in Europe and the WNBA and all the rest of it, captaining your country is a huge honour. And it was so nice for her to go out with a win. They came back. And you see the excitement from their team to be able to get that done. So congratulations on an incredible career. Well done.
Looks like they had a great day celebrating too. They all dressed up.
Did they?
Yeah, it was very good. It looked good.
The Flames.
Good old social media stalking from yours truly. Now we have the WNBL Finals. So top 4, Melbourne, Perth, Canberra, Adelaide. Talk to me about the finals matchups and who you think will come out on top.
All right.
Be honest.
Be honest. All right. Canberra's in there. I hope they don't win because they cheated against us at the start of the year. So I hope they lose.
Fair enough.
Is that honest enough?
Yeah, good. Keep it going.
Boomers should win. They've got the most talent. Guy Malloy's been there for 9 years. This is last season. They've never won it. And under his coaching, they should win it. They've got the most talent.
Okay.
I want to see Perth win it, though.
You've got a soft spot for Perth, don't you?
I don't know why. I don't know why, but I do.
It's Sammy.
Sammy Whitcomb, maybe. They've got 3 WNBA stars. They've got a chance to be able to do it. Got some Opals as well. Young coach who's done really well. I just like to see Perth win it. The general manager, everyone, they welcomed us when we went over there. They were good people. I'd like to see them get W.
You had your end of season awards.
Yes.
As well. How was that?
It was great.
Yeah.
Good night. Well done to our girls. A lot of fun. Stuck together and played really well for what we had and exciting for next year. Can't wait.
Have you had a chance to really reflect on it yet, or will you take some time over the off season?
Oh, we'll be reflecting all this week and meeting with the players, exit and interviews, and then we start planning. And we've got depth charts and ready to recruit new ownership with Hoops Capital as well. So we'll get the full budget and stay tuned. We will be ready to take another step forward.
Full budget. Look forward to hearing more about that.
I like the full budget. They're very nice words to hear.
In the coming months. All right, I want to ask about the referees. They played a big part in Cairns' win over Brisbane over the weekend. 51 fouls called overall, 6 players fouled out, including a couple of sort of fourth foul and then tech fouls on top of that. How frustrating is that as a player when the refs really do have such a big impact on a game?
Well, I am not allowed to talk about the WNBL refs and the standard of the WNBL refs, so I won't talk about that.
Okay.
So what I will, I'll talk about the question you asked me, and that's about this game. And as a coach, it's very frustrating when you deal with inconsistency. So if you come in one game and they're calling one thing, and then you come back the next game and it's totally different, or quarter to quarter, all you want is consistency from a player and a coach from the referees. And I didn't see the game, but it sounded from everybody I've spoken to that might not have been the case.
Yeah, not the best game for sure. Also, Brisbane being on the home court, of the 6 players fouled out, 4 of them were Bullets players. So I feel like you'd feel pretty hard done by from that point of view. We'll get into that game a little bit deeper and Brisbane and ownership structure, I suppose you could say, with Derek a little later on. There is news about the Wildcats signing a new import. John Brown has been spotted in Perth, 6'8" power forward. He was playing in Russia, but had to leave the country obviously because of that terrible situation over there. What kind of a move do you think this will be for Perth? I feel like we've seen this before.
They do it every time. We called this 6 weeks ago, and we said this is what they should do, and they've come to the party right at the right time. They've pulled the strings. They've made it happen. Well done to them, because that's what you're meant to do. You're meant to give your team the best opportunity to win. The other kid wasn't getting it done. Fraser wasn't getting it done. They're not winning the championship with him. We said that. But he'll still stay there, I believe. Injury replacement, potentially. He still gets paid. Great move. And home stretch now. Can't wait to see how he integrates. And
so just a question on this. So Perth have changed their coach. They've changed their ownership. And yet the same club structure and club decisions are being made even after that's been... Like, we had this conversation 6 years ago, I reckon.
They did it. Well, they do it with Bryce Cotton. They do it all the time. That's what you do. You're ready to be able to make the moves to give yourself a chance to finish with momentum and win when it counts. And that's in the playoffs. And the Wildcats have done that over and over and over again. I'm not sure whether they will this year. I don't know how he's going to fit in. I can't wait to see his game. But they give themselves another legitimate chance.
All right. Let's keep things moving. Time to look ahead to this round's games, and we'll bring in former NBL MVP Derek Rucker. D, hello, how you going?
Hello to you, Joe. Welcome back. How does Australia feel?
It's been about 12 hours so far, so yeah, getting there. The holiday blues haven't quite kicked in yet. Hammer is clearly fist pumping because he knows the current leaderboard in terms of our tipping at the moment. On top with 67.
Thank you.
I'm next, 66. D, 63. Director Dave, actually, Hammer, is equal on top with you at 67. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
I haven't seen his tips.
And Matt's gone AWOL his way down on 58 points, poor guy. Hammer, I will start with you looking ahead to this week's games. New Zealand hosting Brisbane.
Nah, don't care.
Don't care.
I don't care about this game. Do we care about this game? Brisbane are the biggest underachievers so far this year. New Zealand have had some excuses.
I'd say there are a couple of NBA scouts that might care about this game.
All right. Well, I'll go with New Zealand then to win this.
Fair enough.
Only because there's NBA scouts that are there, but I have no other interest.
D, Perth are hosting Tasmania. Do you care about that game?
I do. This is going to be a tight one. Tasmania are hard. They're hard to beat. They always hang around. That was an exception the other day, what happened with Illawarra. We'll touch on that later, I'm sure. But Perth will handle them. Perth are looking good again. Vic Law, how come no one's talking about him for MVP?
Yeah, fair shout. He is
Vic Law?
Well. Yeah.
I think they did early. They were talking about him early, but then he sort of dropped off a little bit with the form. And when you're playing with Bryce Cotton...
I know, that's the thing.
Please. He's MVP outside of Bryce Cotton, but Perth are going to win that by a lot.
Friday, Cairns are hosting Phoenix. Cairns coming off that big win over Brisbane, but the Phoenix, having lost 4 in a row, will be desperate for a win in this one. You get the feeling, I mean, Cairns, cool, they can upset anyone, but if Southeast Melbourne go down in this one, that's just about their season over. So I've got Phoenix for that one.
They'll score a lot of points, Cairns. They might not win, but they'll score a lot of points because that defence is horrific.
Hammer, the Bullets and Tassie.
Bullets and Tassie. Wow. That's a tough one.
Go ahead.
Brisbane.
Speak up.
Well, Brisbane, we're going to talk about it in points made. Brisbane are probably the biggest underachievers this year. Tassie have probably been the biggest overachievers this year. They've played so well with what they've got. I still think Brisbane are probably going to find a way to win at home. Hopefully they do. Just out of pride, that one.
D, next up, this is going to be a cracking game. Perth hosting Sydney.
It's going to be a great game. And Sydney really do look like the best team in the competition. They're so balanced. Their win without Xavier Cooks the other day was fantastic. But I'm going to go with the Wildcats just merely because they're the home team and the travel considerations.
The home team, and yet RAC is at 50% capacity. What did you make of the atmosphere in their game over the weekend there?
It was okay. It wasn't anything great, I didn't think. And, New Zealand are playing better. They did a good job of hanging around. But then once Perth shifted up a gear, it was all over. Yeah,
fair enough. Okay, next game, Adelaide hosting Phoenix. I'm an Adelaide girl, you know that. But I don't think anyone's going to disagree in saying that Southeast Melbourne get the win here.
I would think so.
D?
Yeah, I'm saying.
All right. Hammer, Melbourne hosting Illawarra.
Melbourne win this game. I think Melbourne are going to fire up come the end of this season and put themselves in a really good position for the playoffs. For me right now, it's about Melbourne and Sydney. Perth are the team with a change, have probably got the biggest upside playing home games. So it's down to 3. I don't think Illawarra or Southeast Melbourne can actually win the championship.
Even given the form that Illawarra have been in?
Illawarra
and the momentum
I don't think Illawarra's in good form.
No?
They beat Tassie in Tassie.
They
should have
to.
won
They've
that
won
twice.
7 out of 9 games.
I know. I think did they not just beat the Phoenix in Melbourne?
Yeah, but I don't really rate Southeast Melbourne, so I don't think they're in great form. I think they've still got a lot of things. Come the playoffs, we're going to see that they're going to struggle to score the ball, and they're still having problems at the defensive end. So I just don't think they're anywhere near that top 3. It's the top 3, and then 2, and then everyone else for me.
We should have got the hammer out for that. D, finally, the Breakers and Taipans.
Ooh, New Zealand. New Zealand will handle Cairns. Cairns, as I said, I think they'll sneak a victory over the Phoenix. I disagreed with you guys on that one. I think Cairns are going to beat Phoenix, but then they're going to lose this game to New Zealand. New Zealand, they're continuing to build. They're getting bodies back. Yanni Oetzel's playing outstanding, Hammer. You got to like what he's doing.
He's great. And good things for their national team. With a big fella like that being able to come through, Pero Cameron would be very impressed.
No doubt. All right, Dee, thanks for that. Stick around. We'll catch up again with points made. Yes, thanks to 2K, we are going in-depth this week with Southeast Melbourne's Ryan Broekhoff, who joins us from Melbourne at the moment. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show. We know you were injured recently in that collision with Delhi. Do you have an update on the shoulder and how you're feeling and a time frame for your return?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Progressing pretty well. Just sort of getting out of the sling today. Which is good for me. It's more of a hassle, sort of keeping that up all the time. But we're slowly going to work through all the rehab, strengthening stuff. It's going to take still a couple more weeks with all that stuff to let it heal and to strengthen it back up to be in condition to get back on the court. So hopefully not too long, but we're going to be smart about it and take our time.
Mate, I want to take you back where it all started. The first time I ever saw you, Guy Malloy was coaching the under-18s, Vic Metro team, and he said, mate, I've got 3 Frankston kids I want to bring into training. Is that okay? You were one of them, and he said to me, this kid, Jack Watts, you got to see him. He's going to be great. He went on to play AFL. I said, mate, Ryan's your one. He's the guy. Do you ever just sit back with, you've been to the NBA, you've been to Europe, now, in your 30s, you sit back and go, wow, I've come a long way.
Yeah, I think in the last year or so, a lot more reflection about the journey and the pathway and the incredible ride I've been able have playing this beautiful game that we call basketball. It's I think once I'm actually done and retired, hopefully still got some run in the old legs yet, but I think once I'm done and retired and have the time to really look back and just think of all the memories and all the places we've been and the players and the relationships you formed and all the great memories on the court will come flooding back. So I'm still enjoying basketball now. So I'm trying not to think too far back or too far forward, just stay in the moment.
You mentioned you've still got some run in the legs. Paris is only a couple of years away, of course. I mean, last year it's been documented. You've spoken about your mental struggles and pulling out of the Olympics in Tokyo. Do you look at Paris and still have a goal to get back there?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm not taking off my list or closing the door on. It's something that representing Australia has been my greatest achievement as a basketball player and the thing I'm most proud of. So it's something that I'll definitely look forward to and put my hand up for when the time comes. There's so much great Australian talent and so much young talent coming through that the positioning for spots is going to be very, very difficult. So that's great for Australian basketball. That's great for the development of basketball in this country. And for me, I'll stick my hand up and have a go and see how it all pans out. But more so just focusing on the present and doing the best I can right now and working on things and improving and obviously right now just trying to get back on court.
How are you travelling, mate? Joe mentioned last year came out with that Boomers stuff. It'd be nice being back in Melbourne, family. You've got a young family as well. How are things off the court?
Yeah, they're stable, which is, I guess, a new thing for us after a big sort of 12 months previously and the move around and the life of a professional athlete. There's a lot of chopping and changing and moving and now with a young family, it gets a little bit more difficult and a lot more goes into it. So, we're able to, have a house here in Melbourne now, get stable, get kid in daycare a couple of days a week, start to look for things outside of basketball that have our interest and, I guess not just have basketball be the be all and end all, that everything is focused and, if basketball's going good, I'm good. If it's going bad, I'm having a bad day. So, having the family life and the life outside of basketball has been great for me just to kind of decompress, during the long rigors of the season.
You mentioned the Phoenix and the current season. You guys are in a bit of a dogfight for the playoffs at the moment in 5th position, 4 losses in a row. What do you need to do on the court? What's the game plan? What's Simon Mitchell's message in terms of getting you guys to that next step and pushing for the 4?
Yeah, it's been obviously disappointing the last few games. Aside from maybe the Illawarra game in Illawarra, the team's been right in the game and probably should have won a few of them. We haven't been able to execute down the stretch. We haven't been able to sort of close out games and hold on to leads. And it's obviously been frustrating for us. Putting ourselves in such a good position and then dropping some tough games against good opponents that we thought we should have come away with. So. There's still plenty of games left. There's still a lot of time to kind of rectify these mistakes and we've been trying to go over those during film and during trainings during the week. So hopefully the team can get back on the winners list this week and start to push back into the 4. And it's going to be interesting. It's tough. It's a tough, competitive, tight race for the final 4 spots. So we're going to do everything we can to push our way back in.
You guys have got a deep roster. You can score from so many different positions, but the defense for me over the last couple of years has just been your biggest problem. What's been said on the day-to-day? What issues do you see? How does that get fixed to be able to win in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's been something that we've addressed. Something we look at most days during film. A lot of it, just comes down to not being, on the same page during some plays, some simple scouting mistakes, letting guys get to their strong hand or, pick and roll coverage. It's not, one big mistake that kind of kills us. It's these, little mistakes that happen that kind of compound and allow teams to get on runs and get on, feel comfortable in their offense and get through it. So, I think when we're up pressuring full court, putting pressure on the ball, making things difficult to even get over half court, helps us kind of get set behind the ball, that we're able to keep guys in front of us and force them into tough shots. I think for us is obviously finishing off the possession. Some games has been difficult as well, giving up offensive rebounds and easy buckets at the last second of the shot clock. So lots of things that we can improve, but we see a lot of good things during the games as well that encourage us that we do have the pieces of the players to be a good defensive team. We just need to knuckle down and figure it out and get it done.
Still plenty of the season to go, but a few pundits have just about written you guys off already from a playoffs point of view. What do you say to that? Is there still belief within the group?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Even the last 4 games, bar the Illawarra one, against real quality opposition, and we're right in those games, and probably should have won a few of them. It's not hit the panic stations just yet. It's that we're close. Let's fix up and tidy up a few things, and we should be able to win some games and win close games, which has been sort of hasn't been our strength this year. So yeah, it's there's still plenty of games, plenty of opportunities for us to improve, and we're not that far behind. We know that all teams have a tough road home, and it's going to be interesting and may come down to certain results, but we're going to do everything we can to win as many games as we can to put ourselves the best chance to make the 4, and we have every confidence that we're good enough to be there and to make some noise.
Well, you've got Taipans, Jack Jumpers and Wildcats over the next 3. Hopefully soon after that you'll be back on court as well. Thanks so much for your time today, and Ryan, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
for
having me on.
Mate. Good on you.
Cheers.
All right, we're talking about LeBron James, guys. He is playing like an absolute freak at 37 years of age. He's now second all-time on the scoring list. He passed Karl Malone. He's got 1,440 points to catch Kareem. We expect him to do that over the next couple of seasons. I guess it just brings to light, though, the fact that this tally, this list, is based on regular season only. So there's completely, obviously, separate stats for playoffs.
I don't like that.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Why? What's the reason that you wouldn't include playoffs? What could the reason? What is the reason?
Well, I'll give you a reason, because the playoff structure has changed so many times over the years that without the playoffs in there, it does maintain some type of consistency if it's just based on an 82-game regular season when possible.
I like that. I can agree with that. I understand that maybe it's not fair. Players play that way. They're scoring that many points. They lead their teams to playoffs, and therefore they deserve to have those points count. But
do
equally,
games count? Do games count?
No, they don't.
So again, same thing. Why would you take away someone's games that they've had to get up for to play in their career? That doesn't make sense to me. I understand the consistency as far as points and awards.
Yep.
But I don't like that at all.
So, D, it's the same as the MVP, though, right?
It is. It's a regular season award. And look, Shane, you can easily go on basketballreference.com and check out everyone's playoff statistics and how they perform and compare them against the regular season.
I get that.
Now, look here. Now, the question I want to ask you, Shane, is LeBron's been getting a lot of criticism about padding his stats and staying in the game in the fourth quarter when the game's been decided. How do you feel about that?
I think staying in the game when the game's decided is different than him having to put a team on his back and having to go and accumulate points. That's what he has to do. We give LeBron some stick because of his GM side. I do.
You do.
Because his GM stuff is poor. If you don't agree with that, then you need to take your head out of the sand. But as far as him as a player and what he's been able to do and his longevity and looking after his body and being a pro and turning up and not sitting out games, not doing a Kawhi Leonard and picking and choosing how many games you get to play on the road and everything else. This man is a freak. He's a pro. He's an Iron Man to be able to do what he's doing right now.
I agree. Look, though, it's all about critical points. How many important points have you scored? And LeBron has been the master of that over the years. But this season, I'm not sure, Shane. And, hey, lay off of Kawhi. That guy plays hard. He's had legitimate injuries. Just because he left your Spurs don't hold it against him. The guy went on to win a championship in Toronto. It's a business to him, and he treats it as such.
Please. Well, business, just turn up every day.
All right, gents, we bring it back to the NBL now. We know the Bullets went down to Cairns on their home floor by 10 points. We expected a lot more from Brisbane this season, a lot more than what we've seen at least. Dee, where's it going wrong? Is it on the court? Is it Jimmy Duncan? Is it the front office? Is it Sam McKinnon? What are your thoughts? You were at the game.
Yeah, this is rough, Joe, and it's getting rough actually going and watching these games. The level of inconsistency that we see from the Bullets, not only from game to game, Joe, but within games. Like, they were horrible yesterday in the first quarter. It looked like they weren't ready to play. And then in the second quarter and third quarter, they start to peg the league back and look like they're a team, look like a playoff team. But, you know, they've had some injuries, but everybody's had injuries this season. And Shane, the bottom line is, no disrespect to Cairns, you can't lose to the Taipans 3 times in a season and twice on your own court.
Are you going to say that and then you say no disrespect to Cairns when you just disrespected them? But for me, I think the pressure's on Sam McKinnon. This is his first year picking. This is his team. So the coach didn't get a chance to be able to pick these players. Sam McKinnon's going to have to then reboot and work out what mistakes he made putting this team together, who's up to it, what direction they need to go. It's a big year for Sam, I think, in the front office next year and some of the moves that he pulls, who he keeps and who he recruits.
We've seen this from Brisbane for the past few seasons, though. They just keep falling short. Why do you think that is?
Well,
a big thing, Joe, is I thought they got the recruiting not too bad this year, but the guys also just haven't produced. And also, when you bring in a coach in, and James Duncan got here relatively late, and that's really no one's fault, but he has to have some input into the personnel decisions and how he wants that team to perform based on his philosophies and his coaching concepts.
Agree.
All right, gents. Scott Roth versus Antonius Cleveland. Hammer, whose side are you on here?
Oh, this is so one-sided because last week we called Scott Roth the coach of the year. We have celebrated with him when he gets exciting and he's all the rest of it. And then look at him sooking it up here. Look at him. You are a sook for this action, Scott Roth, because we were with you and now someone else celebrates. You can't now go off. And the way he carried on after the game, trying to get to Cleveland, because I would have done what Cleveland did. I would have done exactly the same because I saw him over-celebrating and everything else. Now it's his turn to be able to do it. Come on, Scott. Look at this. Don't start pointing and threatening. Come on, mate.
Derek, what did you make of it?
Oh, look here. I could talk about this for about 20 minutes. I've had to deal with so many morons on Twitter all weekend as I made a tweet. And look, let me preface it by saying this. Scott Roth and I are from the same area in Northeast Ohio. He's a few years older than me. He was someone that I admired. He was an inspiration to me during his high school career because he made it to Division I. He played at Wisconsin and had an outstanding career. So it pains me to go down this road. But what he did was inexcusable. And people on Twitter are saying, oh, well, Cleveland never got back into the line to shake hands. Oh, if you dummies on Twitter would watch what happened, the referees actually steered Cleveland away. So he wasn't permitted by the referees to go back into the line. And plus, Scott Roth was raging like a madman. Shane, he wanted to fight him.
He wanted to fight him. Cleveland just celebrated. 7 days ago, Scott Roth did exactly the same thing. I don't care if he was taking the piss. I would have taken the piss. It's his turn to celebrate. If you're going to celebrate hard, you need to suck it up the next week. Yeah. Shake the man's hand and say, well done.
And when you go over the top like that, you must expect some type of retribution. And Shane knows that. And I know that, although Shane knows better than me. But look here, coaches are also held to a higher standard. Yeah. We have to set the example for our players. Imagine that. Imagine you chasing around an opposition player after the game wanting to fight her. I would be like, Hammer, bruh, we got to have a talk. We got to really sit this down and work through this.
Yeah. Spot on, D. It's a little bit like, it feels like siblings being told off, and as the older child, you're told that you need to be the bigger, more mature one, and Scott certainly didn't seem that was the case the other day. Alrighty, that's all we've got time for in Points Made. Thanks to Bet with Joel. D, we will catch you again next week.
All right, guys. Great to have you back, Joe.
That's all we've got time for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hammer, thank you for having me and sharing your studio.
Thank you for coming back. And can you eat next week? Your guts has gone crazy today.
I know, my belly keeps rumbling.
Oh, my goodness. Like we don't have a microphone down there. Oh, my.
We go back and forth.
Eat.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Good to have
I've
you
been
back,
on
Joe.
holiday. I need to diet.
Everyone's missed you. Everyone's missed you.
I've missed everyone too.
Yep.
Thank you to TCL Mobile, 2K, and Bet with Joel, and also our broadcast partners, News Corp, Kayo, and Twitch. We'll be back next week.
See you then.
Peace out.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.